In the wake of the COVID pandemic, 2020 has been the year when organizations big and small have had to focus on innovation and agility to maintain business continuity. In the second half of the year, organizations are building momentum as they chase their goals, riding on the back of new disruptive technologies at the core of an updated business proposition and an increasingly remote way of working. During the course of this discussion, we will discuss both tools and strategies from smart technology like big data to monitoring analytics to business optimization and refined business structures, as well as a new mindset to conduct business. Joining us on the program, Dr. C.N. Ashwath-Narayana, Deputy Chief Minister and Minister of Higher Education, IT and Biotechnology, Skills Development, Entrepreneurship and Livelihood, a whole bunch of portfolios there. Dr. Ramana Reddy, Additional Chief Secretary to the Chief Minister and the Department of Electronics, IT and BT. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, Executive Chairperson at Biocon, and also part of the Karnataka government's biotechnology panel. Prashant Prakash, the founding partner at Accel Partners. Devjani Ghosh, the president of NASSCOM. Gentlemen, and Devjani, Kiran, many thanks for joining us here on the program. Dr. Reddy, let me start by asking you, first for an assessment of what the pandemic has meant as far as industry is concerned, when we talk about jobs, disruption, what has the impact been and what steps is the government putting in place from here on to mitigate the risks?
Yeah, as you know, pandemic has definitely put some hold not only in Bengaluru and Karnataka but everywhere in the world. But we could cope with that. During the lockdown also, the new normal was work from home, and we were very much in contact with everybody, all the IT companies and IT associations. Nowhere the operations were shut or operations were totally blocked. But even during the lockdown period, at least some percentage of the workforce was working and critical services were on.
You've already got a fairly robust startup policy in place. You've got an EV policy in place. As you look at how the world has changed post-COVID, the need for reskilling, the need for more e-governance, what steps, what measures will the government put in place?
Okay, I will first tell you what Karnataka means to IT and biotech, and then I will tell you what steps we have taken. Karnataka, as you know, is a highly progressive state. We have a GSDP of 220 billion. And even if you take from 2000 to 2019 cumulative FDI inflow, we were third best in the country after Maharashtra and Delhi. Why Karnataka is unique? If you see the panel here itself, it is represented by two industry representatives and one major association representative. In fact, Karnataka is unique because Karnataka, right from the beginning, the industry, academia and government go hand in hand for the last 20 years. We have a unique concept of vision groups. Madam Kiran Mazumdar is chairperson of Vision Group on Biotechnology for the last 20 years. Mr. Prashant Prakash is our chairman of Vision Group on Startups. Ms. Devjani Ghosh is continuously in touch with us. This is the uniqueness of Karnataka, that industry, academia and government go together. And as you said, government of Karnataka is very proactive. We were the first in the country to have come out with IT policy, first in BT policy, first in startup policy, first in ABGC policy, first in ESDM policy. And recently, what steps we have taken to, in spite of pandemic, to go forward? 2-3 things I would like to mention. One is, as far as the ease of doing business is concerned, we have taken a lot of measures. We have amended our Industries Facilitation Act, where up to 3 years major industry need not go for any clearances from government, they can start the operations. We have brought in a lot of reforms in land and labor. We have set up Karnataka Innovation Authority, where if somebody has, this is the first time in the country, maybe in the world, where Innovation Authority, where we can set up sandboxes for any field, not just fintech or anything like that, where if anybody has an innovative idea and state law is coming in between, we can give them relaxations. Then recently we have set up Karnataka Digital Economy Mission to bridge the gap between the government and industry. And the uniqueness of this Karnataka Digital Economy Mission is that major stakeholding will be from the industry associations, not by the government. Though government will fund this organization, the associations like NASSCOM will be the shareholders there, and the chairman also will be from the industry. Another two things just I would like to mention. One is we have come out with a new industry, IT policy 2025 in the backdrop of pandemic, where we have a theme running in the IT policies beyond Bengaluru. We want to focus beyond Bengaluru in entire Karnataka. Another thing I would like to highlight is that recently Government of India in May has come out for incentives for ESDM sector, electronic system design and manufacturing. So Karnataka was one of the first states, and we are almost matching the Government of India incentives, where we give up to capital even investment subsidy up to 25%, we give 100% stamp duty exemption, 100% conversion charge exemption, power tariff reimbursement, electricity duty complete exemption, productivity linked incentives. So a lot of measures we have taken and we will take to keep the momentum going in Karnataka.
Well, a long list of measures that the government is focusing on to try and get the digital economy to fire on all cylinders. But let me get Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw into the conversation. Kiran, part of this digital economy is, of course, driving the entire ecosystem linked to innovation. But specifically for biotech, specifically for pharma, healthcare, Kiran, what do you believe will now need to be the next steps to focus on?
So Shireen, as you know, Dr. Reddy just talked about the fact that I've been leading the vision group on biotech for 2 decades now. And one of the very interesting aspects of this working partnership that we have with the government is to really remove all the regulatory cholesterol that the biotech sector faces in the country. And I think the sandbox concept of innovation is something that we've all, asked the government to actually implement, and they have. Secondly, I think what is also very important is in this whole approach of pandemic preparedness, and in fact now going forward in vaccination preparedness, the industries are coming together. As you know, the Bengaluru Tech Summit is really a convergence of technologies. And this is one state where IT and BT work together to basically look at big data, artificial intelligence, and all the life science technologies to come out with, whether it's cutting edge diagnostics, cutting edge vaccines, or cutting edge therapies. The research investment is huge. And here, in fact, I want you to also be aware of the fact that a number of AI-based diagnostics were developed in Bangalore very fast. Secondly, in terms of both pandemic and vaccine preparedness, the kind of industry, academia and government partnership that was brought about, which I'm sure Devjani will talk a lot, actually addresses how contact tracing was actually developed in a very rapid response way. Now we want to look at vaccination. We want to make sure that we come up with a voucher scheme that actually gets from home to home in terms of when and where they should get vaccinated on what date. That's the kind of pandemic preparedness programs we want. We also want to make sure that our logistics and vaccination centers are also very well geared with very good digital planning. And of course, finally, it is about creating a digital platform on which you will capture the vaccination data so that Karnataka will be in a state where they can actually track and trace.
So the use of technology to put the vaccine distribution strategy and its rollout in place, that is going to be a cornerstone of how Karnataka addresses the COVID challenge. But Devjani, to Kiran's point, let me ask you now of how you see this partnership between industry, academia and the government building on the momentum that has already been achieved, specific measures, specific next steps.
I think the biggest task ahead of us, I'm speaking primarily from an IT sector perspective, the biggest task ahead of us is to reshape the entire Indian IT industry, because we have a huge opportunity here to address the global market even more than what we used to do. But that will require some fundamental changes in the industry. And I think building on the Karnataka playbook that we've always had, which has always stood for high-class collaboration, trust between government and industry, is what will give us a leg up in creating that playbook. I mean, in this new dynamics, there are a few things that has to come into play. First, talent. business will go where talent is. It's as simple as that. Investments will go where talent is. And India, I've said this again and again, India has to make talent its biggest competitive advantage. We have to stand for digital talent, and I'm really hoping this is one place where we'll be able to work with the Karnataka government to show how it's done. I think that's number one for me.
How do you propose it be done, Debjani? What is the plan there?
We are anyway working with government to come out with a huge initiative called Future Skills Prime by end of year, to take the digital technology skills that are needed for success in this new world to all Indians. I mean, this is a program that we are working with central government as well as state governments. I would love to see Karnataka government step up and be a champion for taking these skills to pretty much every person out there. Another area we keep talking about is the innovation ecosystem, Shireen. And I think the innovation ecosystem needs to undergo a bit of a change right now. And we have to ensure that our innovation focus, priority, structure, ecosystem is getting, geared up to solve these big challenges. Once again, a brilliant opportunity for Karnataka to take the lead.